I didn't get my microphone wet this time. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Unorthodox Film Podcast, where we discuss movies that meet specific genres, topics, or scenarios, and we recommend movies that we enjoy in hopes that we introduce our listeners to movies that they haven't seen or heard of. Usually we have a guest. Sometimes we have a guest. Today we are by ourselves. But what we do at the end of each episode is we roll a dice and select one of the recommended titles to watch together. And then we will discuss that film on our next episode with fresh eyes and determine whether the film holds up, and as well as explore the film in a more detailed and critical discussion. So I am Bradford, and with me today are my co-hosts, Joseph. Joseph, say hello.
Hello.
And Quinn. Quinn.
Hey, guys.
And last week we made recommendations for body horror films, and our random film selection was Final Cut from 2004 starring Robin Williams. So we'll be discussing that when we get started today. And then later on we will be making our recommendations for movies based on space exploration.
I just want to point out it's the Final Cut.
Is it the Final Cut?
Just because there is a movie that's more recent that is Final Cut. And it's totally different, not related at all. So.
I didn't put the in bold here, so that's my error. We're just not going to send the script out.
Final Cut.
So what have you guys been up to? Quinn, we had an episode that you were working, so missed us. We kind of discussed a little bit about our year since it was April. April was the last time that we had recorded it. I think it was April or May, but so it's been a while. So anything sweet and fresh happening in your land?
Just more of the same. Just working, learning, networking. Just kind of
right on,
building the circle. It's been like a very good first year. It was like 2 weeks ago that I got on the first thing.
Yeah.
So it was a good first year,
Fuck yeah, man! Bump it.
And then in the summer I was gone for a month in Wisconsin with the National Guard.
Oh, right on.
It was a pretty fun but difficult experience. It was like a war simulation called XZTC. I don't know what it stands for.
Yeah, that sounded pretty extreme.
And how long were you gone?
We were gone for 3 weeks, but it was
training the whole time.
Yeah, with travel.
No vacation.
No, I immediately went. No, actually, no vacation. Literally, I 2 days after I got back, I drove down to North Carolina where my parents have property. Mm-hmm. It was my grandpa's place on the beach before he left it to my mom. I was there for a day, and then I got a call for a gig with the type. I couldn't pass it up. It was an NFL thing, so I literally drove home the next day, and it made this guy named Dave really happy, but I was pissed. Well, I wasn't pissed. I was happy I was working, but I was just
completely.
I was cursing.
100%.
I was so afraid he was gonna call, and it was gonna be the sort of thing where he expected me to just be there, but it wasn't low key worth it. But then it was so worth it. So I was more mad.
You said it was in Wisconsin? Was your training?
Yeah.
Did you try any cheese there?
No, we didn't get to leave, dude. I mean, maybe
you were just in a nondescript.
I didn't shower for 18 days, so there was cheese.
That's hot.
There was cheese, but I didn't try it.
Schmegma.
Well, are you guys ready to talk about Final Cut?
Yeah.
So it was my first time seeing it. Was that your first time seeing it, Quinn? And that was a recommendation from Joe. So Joe had seen it before. When was the last time you'd seen it before we watched it tonight?
Oh, it's been years for sure, because I saw it really close to when it first came out, 2004, I believe.
2004, yeah.
And I found it on DVD because it wasn't well received, or was outshined by something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never even seen a trailer before.
Right, so it was in the $5 rack pretty soon. So I owned it rather fast after it was released, and
so with
fairly regularly, me and my wife, yeah.
With this recent watch, did you take anything new away from it? Was there was it as you remembered it?
It was as I remembered it, yeah.
I thought it was fascinating.
I did get a little more understanding of his relationship between Alan and the Mira Sorvino character, so Robin Williams' character.
Yeah.
Because, it's so thin, and it's so, because there's so much happening, really. It envelops quick. Anything in the background is, telling you stories about,
The supporting characters all had very thin
Yes.
Plot lines. They were there mainly to help, push his forward.
Everything that happened was really to push the plot line forward. Like, so, but it's very, it's informative that way. Where like you have to pay attention to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Really. So I enjoy that part of it because it's engaging.
What did you think of it, Quinn?
Well, first I want to know you guys' definition of body horror.
Okay, so for me, this was not a body horror.
It barely made the list.
Yeah, this I definitely would have put this. It probably would have been in like a cyberpunk or science fiction, because the body implication was the implants, right? And then there was the tattoos, but they were just tattoos. So body horror, I'm trying to remember how we actually defined it last week, but in general, body horror is when something agitates the body, modifies the body in some way. So like examples that we had. In the Thing, in John Carpenter's Thing, the creature was inside, and then the whole body morphed. The whole body was gross and disgusting. Or in From Beyond was one of the movies that I recommended, and being from another universe had kind of taken him over, and then he became this fucking blob, and blobbing was pretty. But other examples are there's this movie Pandorum or Tetsuo, where extreme modification. Have you played Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
That's body. So that's body modification. Yeah. And if that were done in a horror aspect, that would be body horror.
Yeah, it's just body mods with horror.
Yeah. So I guess the clarification is stuff like Hostel. While you're destroying the body, you're not modifying it.
So this is like a body drama then, kind of.
This was So this one the main
because it had modifications the second as you said, they say in the movie, there's two installations of video canceling and then the audio canceling, which the audio comes first. And you saw there's little raised parts of the they're doing
So I think where the movie missed was horror.
Yeah, it definitely.
There was nothing horrific.
It's more thriller for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the.
But it's
movie
a good and underrated film.
I'm not regretful of watching the movie. So. What'd you think of the movie?
So I thought it was cool. I thought it's shtick where it's we record your whole life so that at your funeral there's a video. It was just why not more? Why not have it be they can access it during their whole life and you can be oh, that was a fun birthday party.
Yeah, it's a super slow burn product.
Yeah,
your parents invest it's the very first thing they invest, because if they're buying it pre-birth and they haven't even paid the hospital for your birth yet,
it's
right,
you don't even get to enjoy it. So it could have been a thing where it's cops can get a court order to access the memory on that day, and then you could maybe oh, this is a fun podcast, I'm gonna put it in a picture frame and play 5 seconds on a loop.
And I like that idea because you're bringing in elements of other movies like Johnny Mnemonic or was another one where they had implants in the head where you could upload.
There was an episode of Black Mirror like that recently.
Yeah, it can still be the funeral video. That could just be a part of it,
Yeah, I think that's an added bonus.
People can maybe live stream their head,
Yeah, and it was a very interesting concept.
Be an add-on just to the Wi-Fi, and you can just live stream all the time.
Like you said,
roasting people.
There was so much that was thin, no real character development in any of the supporting characters because they were there so little, and their character.
Well, you were left in wonderment the whole time about Alan, the Robin Williams character. So that's really where all of the interest came, because you weren't curious at all, because you didn't get to watch it. So obviously the main plot followed around.
Well, it was
the main plot follows. The one job that he has, the one guy, and we get to see it open with a little bit, and then it ends at. So that one job was what was pushing it forward. And if it was a procedural episode of Law and Order or something like that I would have felt maybe some investigation into the guy's life and so forth. So at first I thought maybe we were going to get more into that, but even the hints that they gave you about that guy's life, we didn't. It's still left up to your own interpretation. Right. So there was a lot of mystery. Every new scene, you were still waiting for the answers, right? And that was important because of the ultimate, the third act there, and how it ended, and that I think that paid off for me. I ultimately it was worth it. But like you said, the characters were thin. The plot was veiled a bit as you were going through.
And because of that, almost one noted, there was, it was less 3D.
Because you weren't really sure what you were watching
yet. But it pulled you into it still. It was still immersive. But yeah, that's why I think it probably had more arc to it. And then, your studio cuts down budget, blah, blah, blah. These things happen. Well, and
like Quinn had mentioned, it was like a straight hour and a half. Like it was not over.
I liked that it was that short. It was.
Me too.
I don't know. I don't think every movie has to be like. I think more people would watch movies if they were shorter.
Dude, man,
there
like
are so many times when I see
79
2 hours,
to 87
like,
minutes would be great. Somewhere between 79 and 87 minutes would be like low key. I'd love to be able to, like, if I'm trying to watch a movie, 75% of the movies that I watch that I want to, like, in my options today, I want to be able to flip through most of them being 75 to maybe 100 minutes, but when I'm flipping through at night, it's like 2 hours 30, 2 hours 12, 2 hours 30, 2 hours 30. It's like, what the fuck? It's just too long. So this one was a nice, sweet. What did you think of the performances, Robin Williams specifically?
So I think that he kind of like he carried super hard. I don't think like anyone will watch the movie if Robin Williams wasn't in it, or like a Robin Williams adjacent like star. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't think I would have been as engrossed if it wasn't for his acting. He kind of like, he definitely carried the whole movie, like 100%.
And it's amazing because it wasn't like a dramatic. I don't want to say dramatic.
Brooding. It was dramatic. It was brooding. He wasn't.
Dramatic was the wrong word. It wasn't. I was going to use the word dramatic, like large. It wasn't like there weren't. Trying to look for a synonym for dramatic that I'm trying to convey. Yeah, it wasn't exaggerated in any way. Right. He like normally you're like, oh, the Robin Williams, he was so crazy or so funny, but he was just so subtle in this. And like if you watched his eyes, if you watched the small little movements that he made with his mouth or his fingers, like he was very physically enveloped in this character, and it didn't have to be over the top.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that quite a bit about it.
Yeah, it was. Beautiful performance on his end, for sure.
Did either of you take note of the camera movements?
Yes. Yeah, it was very cinematic.
There was a number of crane jib movements where they did a lot of like upside down or swinging in. There was one specific one after he had found out that he had an implant.
Yeah, and he punches the mirror and then he's outside and he's like bent over
and it goes underneath him. Beautiful. And then cups and tilts all the way up to him, follows him all the way under the arc of under his arms, and then re-levels with him to this beautiful.
As he spins around and sits down, slumps to the ground.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah. It was.
I did appreciate the way that it was shot. It was 2004, right? So you're talking about that's just pre Jason Bourne or like a lot of the crazy camera movements. It was still it was colored very naturally. It was not like they were nice subtle dolly movements or static shots, but it wasn't like when those dramatic camera movements came. It was nice to see them because they weren't everywhere. It wasn't overwhelming.
And they fit. They were emotionally.
They were used very well to bring you into the scene in some way. Anything else that you guys have that you want to take away from this one? Would you recommend it to somebody?
Yeah, this isn't the first time I've recommended it.
Yeah, we know Joe would.
Yeah, I think.
What type of movie, if someone was looking for when would you recommend that? If they were looking for what type of movie?
If someone asked for like either like a underrated Robin Williams movie,
okay, or
if someone asked for some sort of like I don't know, yeah, probably just if someone asked for like a Robin Williams movie, I'd be like, I saw this one was kind of interesting. It's nice and short.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
I was surprised by Mira Sorvino. It was a small role. They didn't give her a whole lot to do, so I don't really know what the breadth of her capabilities are. I did find myself looking at her quite often thinking she looked a lot like Gwyneth Paltrow. So, like, I see how maybe them being around the same age, but I know Mira Sorvino had some issues with, I think she was part of, like, the blackball list because of nasty shit that was happening by producers. I think Weinstein had something to do with her not getting jobs for a while, and it's a shame because I think she does have a very large talent.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed her. She's good.
So it's too bad that a movie like this didn't,
do better.
Yeah.
'Cause it is really well done on all parts. Jim Caviezel.
I see. He was underwhelming to me. I thought Jesus was underwhelming.
It was. He did no Passion of the Christ. It wasn't that performance. No.
Yeah, and very, very small cast. I'm trying to think who else was even in it. You just had the sidekick.
Yeah, and the Jesus guy had like a really bad wig too. Like I don't think anyone.
Dude, I'm not even sure if that was his real beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it didn't look natural. Whoever trimmed him just didn't. I don't know. Well, that's Final Cut then. We'll move on from that. So today we're going to be talking about movies about space exploration. So when we brought this one up, Joe and I kind of talked a little bit about it. Quinn wasn't here with us, and we've all kind of just like trying to get this thing going here. So we haven't had a whole lot of conversation. So let's start out a little bit about like how you approach this. What did you consider to be space exploration? We kind of mentioned like if like something like Star Trek, where it's already determined that there's a federation and worlds out there and this and that the Earth is aware of and intentionally a part of,
right?
That those types of movies wouldn't really count.
Okay.
What else would you? I mean, hey, if we need to fill some spots and you got some recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big like sci-fi guy, so I definitely had to like think hard on this one.
Okay.
Because like if the genre is like people exploring space, there's like only like so many that I've seen,
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to fit like maybe like a particular one of the Star Wars ones like but it just didn't fit. But yeah, I guess it would just like the point of the movie is to go out and explore space, and then stuff happens, and that's like kind of the genre, right?
That is the like 90% of the scope.
Yeah, like not we're hunting this dude down in space or we're looking for this treasure in space. It's like.
But I mean, like, because I was kind of the same as you. I was like, man, there could be like 3 movies we talk about, and that's the end of the list. So I had to kind of, stretch out a little bit to, I guess, like
it's more like the main study or the main characters don't have a large history in space.
Right.
Like, it's like you can run into a civilization, but that's not. Yeah, that's part of the story. But I don't know.
I think ultimately, like the pared down idea of it was so that maybe later on we could do like an alien invasion one or ones that without trying to take away everything off the table all at once. But I mean, this is our first space episode, so I mean, whatever ends up on the recommendation list, I think is probably pretty solid.
Yeah, fair.
So I don't think I've ever actually started. So to take the pressure off, I think maybe I'll start today. How we feel about that, guys?
Fine. Yeah, I'm ready to go when you are.
All right, so I think the first one that I'm going to mention is a movie that I'm a really big fan of, and that's Danny Boyle's Sunshine from 2007.
Yeah.
And the main plot of
Almost
Sunshine.
put that on mine. Yeah.
The main plot of Sunshine is that a crew from around the world has been assembled to take the Icarus II into space towards the sun with a giant nuclear bomb detonator to try and reignite the sun because it's dying and life on Earth is dying. And
Quantum fusion device.
They're not the first. There was the Icarus I that had gone out 7 years earlier, and they just completely lost contact with them.
Right.
And I felt this movie qualified because it wasn't like they were heading. I mean, the sun is a long way. I forget. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I don't forget how long. But it's years for them to get there, right? So it's this whole everyone at Earth is waiting. It's basically a suicide mission because you're flying towards the fucking sun. So it's this great existential exploration with these scientists. But what I loved about the movie was its approach to how it filmed space. In the sense that something like Star Wars is very shiny and glittery. Yes, the Star Wars specific, the toys are dirty and filthy and such, but there's still a gloss and a glamour to space itself. Whereas in Sunshine, when they pass by large objects or planets or whatever, they're just the light from the closest star is cascading across it, and everything else is enveloped in darkness. And so there were these shots where the vessel would pass by a large object. In any other movie, it would just have this Hollywood scope to it. This was more visceral. It was like right there, like you could reach out and touch this fucking planet that just came out of the darkness. And that to me was a very interesting approach to it. Sunshine has a third act that not everybody gets on board with. I personally think the third act is great, but it's a movie that I definitely recommend. Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans.
Yep.
What's her name from X-Men? I don't remember what else she's. What's that? No, not Jennifer Lawrence. She wasn't one of the mutants.
Trying to remember.
Yeah, she was in Damages is where the first place I saw her, and she was Seth Rogen's wife in Neighbors. But regardless, Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a phenomenal cast. There's more to it. It's Danny Boyle. It's Danny Boyle brilliance, the way he directs, the way that he shoots.
Yeah.
It's I believe it's an Alex Garland script, so it's just all the way around. It's a fascination adventure. So. Have you seen Sunshine?
No, it sounds cool.
I recommend Sunshine. I know Joe has.
Yeah, several times. I love that movie.
So yeah, that's my first recommendation for today.
So who's next? You, me or Quinn?
Fight it out, man. I want to see some.
Why do you go next, sir?
Cool. Okay, I would like to go. I saw this on a plane like a couple months ago. Ad Astra with Brad Pitt. It was super good. It was about this. Well, I mean, I don't really want to spoil it too much, but it's cool. It's like there's not like enough resources. It's not like an apocalypse movie, but it's like hey, there's people outside of Earth now. We've been traveling out there for a while, and there's not too many resources. So like when he leaves the military base, because he's like a military pilot type guy, and it's cool. Like the Space Force, it was very like military adjacent. Like it was just like kind of what I do, but they're just in space. And when they left the wire, just like you would like in Afghanistan, it's like hostile because there's like these pirate colonies. Well, they're called pirate colonies. Really, they're just people that like we're like, hey, we're on space. We're not gonna pay taxes. Like we're in space, dude. Like we're not on Earth. Yeah. And then so the government's like, well, then you're not getting any of our stuff, dude. And then so they will like raid military convoys and stuff. It was really interesting. And then there's like a cool. I don't want to spoil it. There's kind of like a surprise ending and. It was really good. I would definitely,
a good movie. Yeah,
definitely recommend
it for sure.
So I actually haven't seen that one, and that was the Brad Pitt movie I wanted to see to his return to form. I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, fucking Brad Pitt. Yeah. But I don't know why I didn't get to it because it's 2019, so COVID hit, and somehow it just didn't.
Back to that time length. You're probably like, oh, next week.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a long one.
Very likely. So you've seen it as well?
Yeah, and it's good. Yeah.
Well, I'm adding it to the list. That's one that I've not seen and was going to watch for this, but didn't want to specifically set out hoping that was something that one of you guys would talk about.
Yeah, it was fun. He like kind of goes rogue a bit, and he like gets on a spaceship he's not supposed to like do what he thinks is right, you know.
Is it more of a drama or is it an action?
It's like action drama.
Drama.
But yeah, it was a kind of cool thing where it's like with war, it's like there's really no good side or bad side. Like,
right.
Like there's always just like gray.
So it's an allegory type movie.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, it was more just like him realizing that like, hey, like this isn't like I don't know.
Takes you on a self exploration. I'm in.
You'll enjoy it. Yeah. Brad Pitt's good in that. So for my first one, I've got quite a few here, but I'm going to go with The Martian. Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm. One of us had to.
It was so. You and I watched it together when it came out, so I know you've seen it, but it was so well done in so many ways. Matt Damon did such an amazing job.
Fascinating.
But the whole cast and crew, the art department, just like the lengths they went to get that look and feel. And it's gorgeous. It was a gorgeous film.
What I think is, for me, one of the things that I loved a lot about that movie was how well Ridley Scott was able to isolate Matt Damon in a set so large, but still to represent. I mean, he's literally alone on a whole fucking planet. So even what we see isn't all of what he's stuck with.
Yeah.
It was. I love that movie. Have you seen The Martian?
Yeah, it's fun. Like when he runs out of ketchup and dips it with the pill.
Yeah.
When he uses duct tape for everything, I'm like, yeah, duct tape. You should have been using gaff tape though.
Well, I mean, not everybody they should be putting gaff tape on every spaceship. I don't know why it's not every.
Yeah, it's so much better than duct tape, honestly.
Yeah, it was funny how he like makes water or whatever, and like then it's like the people don't like tell him they don't tell his team that he's like alone or whatever, and then he freaks out. It's a good movie. I
normally am not too excited to watch a movie where it's like one person. Like I've never seen Buried with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Right?
My wife had to leave the room, but I wasn't.
There was the one we watched recently with and then there's the one we watched recently with Tom Hardy where he's driving the car. And I was just like,
what was that called?
I don't remember.
Drive or
no, it wasn't Drive, but it
was good.
It's unimportant. It was okay. It was okay. It was a guy driving in a fucking car on his phone all the time. It's like I just feel like there could have been more. But The Martian, my point being, The Martian didn't leave me that. Like Matt Damon was so fucking entertaining by himself when he was just going about daily
roller
business.
Coaster because he makes you laugh so many times that you're crying from laughter, and then you're like you still feel for like his loneliness, and it's great.
I don't want to ruin too much because I definitely recommend if you've not seen The Martian to see The Martian. So those are our first three.
Definitely.
So I watched. No, I don't need to mention that one yet. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna keep on the Ridley Scott train because I'm gonna push this one a little bit, and I'm gonna recommend Prometheus.
Yes.
I have to recommend Prometheus. And I know it's a newer movie and it's not probably a movie that's like unheard of, but I do believe it's one of those movies that people still avoid because they heard that other people didn't enjoy it.
Stop doing that. Other people don't have your tastes. Decide for yourself.
I am a huge Ridley Scott fan. So when I heard that he was doing another movie in the Alien world that he helped create with Dan O'Bannon way back in the late 70s, I was like, this is exciting. But then, I work as I do, and I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. I had read through the internet that it was Alien adjacent, not an Alien movie. And that was enough for me to be like, okay, this is just in the world of, but a completely different movie. Yeah. And all the reviews that I got back was it wasn't scary, it's not an Alien movie, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, okay, I fucking know that. Like, but how was the movie?
Yeah. Right.
And the movie it takes place, so they're watching the sky, some Earth scientists get a signal from, I believe, Saturn or something like that, but they believe it to be an invitation for us to join the rest of the universal consciousness in space. And we set out to explore space, and we find on this adventure, what they call them, the creators or something that they believe to be the creators of man. And it just explores genealogy and it explores the idea of ancient history. I don't think in any way it has any sort of truth form to it, but I believe that it's a ride and a story that...
I found it extremely interesting when they like find the laboratory room.
Yes.
Where, like all the different alien species that have been I'm like, oh, this is so it's just, it was very interesting. Like I've always loved science,
and it's a 2-hour plus movie. It's a long movie, but it's one of those movies that needed to breathe, and that's what I loved about it, because Alien wasn't a long movie.
No, the longer ones that need it for the storyline and use it right, you never know that till you click it, but a lot of times I'm like, why is this movie still on?
Right.
And this was not one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Great performances by Michael Fassbender. The chick who played in the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoos, Noomi Rapace, where she, this incredible scene where she does surgery on herself that I don't want to ruin any more of. But that's the thing. Like, visually, the movie's amazing. Yes. It's slow and exciting at the same time. Have you seen Prometheus? Have you avoided it because people said it sucks balls?
No,
he's not a sci-fi fan.
Okay, that's fair. So what about, I kind of want to, delve into this a little bit. What specifically about sci-fi is, and I'm not trying to, it's more of an understanding question.
I would love to get into it. It's just like, I don't know, I just haven't, I got an uncle who's crazy sci-fi, and I do like that sort of stuff. It's just I'm usually more attracted to I don't know, just the dramas or history stuff. I really like history.
So this one is very dramatic. So
yeah,
it just has the vehicle. So is Is it the out there-ness? The
No, I like the stuff. It's just it's not something that I've taken like I don't like hate it. I'm not saying I don't like it's more just like I haven't put in the personal effort to like pursue the genre.
Understood.
You know, it's more like oh I'll watch that drama. I'll watch that. I'll go through like an actor's filmography. I don't like pursue like that's kind of what I do when I start to dig an actor.
Yeah, and then you kind of like seek that out.
I'll kind of like because it's like completing like a story. It's like a completionist thing that's like more tangible than like I'm gonna watch every sci-fi.
It's when you get into a band and you want to eat each of their albums.
Yeah, it's like that. It's more tangible than like I'm just gonna get really into war movies. It's like no, I'll watch every Tarantino
because you've got a set list that you can start to check off. And
like I recently did every Alexander Skarsgård movie, and that was really cool.
Oh wow,
he's actually like a really good actor.
Yeah.
And I watched there's like this live action Tarzan movie that's like amazing with Samuel Jackson in it. That he was
I have heard of it and seen shots from it.
Good. It's literally like amazing.
Really?
I don't know how I never watched it. And Margot Robbie's in it.
It was on TV or something one
what
time.
Year was this?
It's recent.
I don't know what year.
I'll look it up.
Since I've been in high school, but yeah, Margot Robbie's.
I was not aware of it. Though.
Margot Robbie's Jane. Samuel Jackson is like this hunter dude that like rolls with like the natives. And it's like after Tarzan, Art like goes with Jane to Britain and comes back, and then these like colonialists, like these French, like East India Trading Company dudes are trying to like mess with the natives and like the village and stuff, and Tarzan like wrestles a gorilla.
It's your basic Tarzan plot. It's just
but it's not. Is it titled anything that would even
it's
indicate?
It's called The Legend of Tarzan.
It's called the Tarzan.
It's super awesome. It's so good, but I discovered that.
Out. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I like completionist things. Like I love reading like all of a comic book series. I love and then with movies, I'm kind of the same way. Like
2016.
Yeah. So I'm kind of the same way where I don't attack like genres. I'll attack like directors or actors and their filmography.
Right.
And so yeah, right now I'm not on one. But I did just finish Alexander Skarsgård's, and I want to. What I want to do next is, the guy that directed Birdman and The Revenant he just came out with a new movie, and I want to watch like all of his other stuff now too. It's called like Bardo or something. That's
very good, very good.
So that's
I
like
love
my
The
next
Revenant.
thing.
Yeah. It's amazing. Birdman was great too.
I used to like think Revenant was better, but I recently rewatched.
I actually haven't watched Revenant.
Birdman was so good.
Birdman was
underrated because people didn't like the ending, but you know what?
Alejandro Inarritu.
Yeah. I mean, it was ambiguous, but like sometimes that's okay. But I don't know, just the way the music and the pacing and the acting and then just like the plot. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I really gargle Birdman a bit. Like it was pretty like amazing. Like,
it's a fascinating fucking movie, man. Lick them balls.
Stone, Michael Keaton.
Just get him right.
All those. It's such a good movie.
I mean, it's a hidden wonder type feature where it's like you have to sit there and watch and be like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah, I showed it to my buddy who works in theater. He's like a prop master. He just got out of college, and I showed it to him because he likes theater, and he's like, what movie should we watch? I was like, I gotta show you this. So I recently just saw it like a month ago. And man,
rewatched it.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, like this is I did not remember how awesome this was, and I love the whole wonders. Like, I love anything with a wonder. I love the atmosphere that comes with having like a wonder.
Yeah.
You know,
me too.
I maybe that's just like the theater dude in me, but I think like
because there's a risk to it. Like, how are you gonna do this?
Yeah. Excuse me, Jesus.
Yeah, or just like be like the way the room moves around the camera, and the camera's just it's I don't know. I think it brings a cool atmosphere to a scene.
It does, for sure.
I agree. I 100% agree. I would recommend, I don't remember if you were watching movies with this yet, but if you haven't seen Rope by Alfred Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm. Is the whole movie like a wonder or something?
The whole fucking thing. And this
cheated,
was made.
But yeah.
Well, yes, you watch it as I said, Birdman was cheated. It's all cheated. Like that's the magnificence of it.
Birdman was like bold with their cheats. They just like the camera would like sway into like the black side of like a
you gotta figure it out, man.
Small alley, like a small like a corridor, and it would just be like so obvious.
So this is what was fun about watching Rope. When I watched Rope the first time, I didn't realize. So it was recommended to us because we were working on Nightcap, and we wanted to watch movies that took place in one night.
Chamber pieces. Yeah.
Chamber pieces. And someone was like, oh, you gotta watch Rope. So we were watching it, and about 15, 16 minutes in, I'm like, Jesus Christ, the fucking camera hasn't changed. And what is crazy is that was 50s, 60s, 70s. It was old, right?
Yeah.
Pre-digital. Film only has 11 minutes on each reel of film. So at the 16-minute mark, I knew that they had to have changed the reel at least once.
Yeah.
How did I not notice this? Oh. So the rest of the movie, I'm watching and waiting for when they pass by something or when this, because the scene,
in front of the camera.
Moves like a fucking play, dude. Not a fucking moment missed.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But we tangented a little bit. Ridley Scott's Prometheus, I definitely recommend it. And if you get to a point where you want to explore sci-fi, I think it's a good entry piece movie. Not because of its relation to Alien, because I think Alien is a completely different style of movie. It's just in the same world. What I like about it is it doesn't, I personally don't believe it force feeds you anything. It's like watching The Lord of the Rings, but in space, but without magic. Like, it's just real people exploring. Like, it, I guess to me, it's that's why I chose it on this list. It encapsulates that exploration.
No magic, eugenics, but no magic.
Yeah, well, right. But it's the idea of going into a place completely unknown to you and coming out with whatever that brings you. And for that, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been liking Ridley Scott. I think before Napoleon comes out, I'm gonna watch all the Ridley Scott movies.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, even I went through when I started doing this, I was really obsessed with Keira Knightley. I've always had a crush on her ever since Pirates of the Caribbean. I watched
beautiful and amazingly talented.
I watched all of her movies too, and she's obsessed with not being not playing the wife or girlfriend. So she does all these period pieces. Mm-hmm. But one of the movies, one of her first movies was this Ridley Scott movie called Domino that came out in the early 2000s.
So that's actually Tony Scott, his brother. Tony Scott. Oh, okay. But no, it's Ridley was involved. He's a producer. That was part of their Scott-free productions. Gotcha, but that is a Tony. Yeah. Highly recommend checking out Tony Scott too. No, highly recommend checking out.
Good movie
because that is a solid fucking movie. That's got what's his name from the wrestler in it too, Mickey Rourke. Yeah, that's an underappreciated bang-up movie, and I think it's awesome.
That Latino dude, the Spanish?
There's nothing for it. There's barely a trailer on YouTube for it.
No, man, and it sank because it's based on a real person.
DVD too.
Me too.
Another one off the $5 bin, man.
So we're gonna swing the table over to you then, Quinn, for your next. Go right ahead.
Just while Keira Knightley's also one of my favorites, and one of my favorites of hers that she did was with Mark Ruffalo, and that was called Begin Again. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I watched all her movies.
Making the album in the streets of New York City, and it's just a beautiful story.
They make a whole album in an alleyway and stuff.
We should do.
True to her not playing the wife or anything, she plays the heartbroken girlfriend who helps the heartbroken husband. They're star-crossed lovers that aren't lovers, right? They're friends for the moment to help each other through trauma.
We're gonna have to do an episode on movies about music, so you can take the chance to mention that one. Oh wait, we did, and you fucking didn't. You just let that opportunity slip.
I failed too.
Right fucking past you.
Too. I got you get tunnel vision.
I mean, that was there.
It's a missed opportunity. Yes,
it's. I guess it's not a musical, but I considered because the soundtrack's
it's not a musical.
The soundtrack's a character in the movie. It's kind of a musical. Mm.
Okay.
It crossed the line for me. I thought it was too close to being a musical. But I guess it's not. I don't know. Beautiful movie, though. Anyways, Quinn, what's your second recommendation?
Now, at the moment, I can't exactly remember why they're in space for this one, but I actually think that maybe they don't give you a reason. And it's 2001 Space Odyssey. They're just these astronauts in space. Is there even a reason why?
I don't fucking remember.
Well, I think that was our quintessential, but
it was, but he wasn't there. And honestly, I think this is important because
it's a great fucking movie.
It's important for him because the difference in the generation gap. I think the reason that I didn't want to is because our generation's always Stanley Kubrick 2001, but to hear
he shot the moon landing.
Yeah.
Look into it, dude. Look into it.
I know he did.
Yeah, he did.
But so Stanley Kubrick's 2001. I don't recall what the fucking reason he was out there. I don't.
Okay, so there might be literally no reason, and there really isn't a reason important because the robot attacks him anyways. But I don't know. I think it's really awesome. I think it's really cool, a really cool abstract thing or whatever. I really wish I heard in a podcast what his explanation for the ending was. And
30 minutes of fucking acid trippy nothingness.
If you guys don't want to know, I won't tell you. But it kind of
go ahead.
Basically, what he said was that he broke it down and he started with the architecture in that room that the dude goes in. And it's you can't. He specifically designed it where you can't actually name what type of architecture that's designed as, because it's like what aliens like were looking at humans like architecture as. Like it's not Victorian, it's not Gothic, it's kind of like a
they've
mishmash.
come up with the term called Kubrickian.
Yeah. So and it was because the aliens were trying, these future aliens were trying to like it's like a simulated like thing what they think humans would be in. They put him in the room and they study him over the years, and he lives out his life there.
So wait a minute, you might have just enlightened me to something then. So
Kubrickian hallways, like you never see the end of it.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
No, I get that. The actual part of the story of 2001 when he was actually captured by aliens, and that was just them subjugating him to fucking comfort.
There was like way more to it. But that's all
I'll have to watch this movie again. I got to be honest. I watched when I watched it.
It's better to just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, when I watched it, I was like, it was a coworker of mine was like, you got to fucking see this, and he recommended some good movies. He recommended Blade Runner. He recommended what else did I watch? Deer Hunter, Apocalypse Now. Like he was
awesome.
He was very formative to a time in my youth where I needed that extra ear, and he was like, 2001, and I watched it. I was like, what the fuck was this fucking movie, dude?
It's cool, no, but it's so cool because you think about it, that came out in like, I think it's
67?
either 1969 or 1964. I don't know. It's like one of those two.
I'm not going to lie and say I got it the first time I watched it or anything, but I did love it the first time. I was like, this is interesting.
I liked most of it. There's a lot of it I enjoyed. That ending
could be whatever
the ending
you
just seemed like, I was like, oh, this is
like,
the fucking 60s. They just decided to end this movie because everyone's fucking tripping on LSD. But there's a purpose to it. Somehow I fucking missed it.
It was pre-Star Wars, and I think
68.
all the space stuff with it was like better than Star Wars. All those like space special effects.
Well, I mean, it's Kubrick. It's 100%. You're not wrong there.
It was just like so like it was like there's no computer to make this. Like,
I think the biggest difference with that though, and this, it could still be the artist. I'm not taking anything away from Kubrick, but I don't want to take anything away from Lucas either. Space Odyssey was a high budget movie. Star Wars was low budget.
Very true.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that was legit mom pop in a fucking warehouse.
I don't think they're comparable.
They spent all the money going to Africa to get.
They may be science fiction, but they're on completely different spectrums. Right.
1968 was the release year.
Close. Yeah, but still, that's like it's really impressive. No computers, and I don't know.
They built. I mean, if you've seen the documentaries with the walking
photography.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. It's a whole rooms and warehouses built for just one set piece.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And it's sad. You said it one time, Brad, how there's literally like in probably like 10, 20 years, the whole like art of prop building for these like crazy things will just be gone because now
so
with the LED walls, like set design might not even be a thing soon on bigger movies.
And like I get the easiness of it, but I feel like what's forced from doing things like practical effects is to get
actors to interact.
You get that interaction, that tangible fucking emotion that you
they're going to
are
do Castaway
from watching
where Wilson's just green screened in.
Well, I think I think the same way that people applaud Christopher Nolan for doing practical stunts and actually flipping the car in Dark Knight, that big is just because
it's always going to be a factor.
Can be super fake doesn't mean that humanity's not going to want to swing back to like the original, the raw, like the no CGI stunts, like that.
Well, even the newer Batman, they used the volume, but they still flipped cars.
Yeah, just because things can be super fake and look real doesn't mean we're not gonna crave it.
100%. It can't be replaced. It just can't.
So,
when was the last time you saw Space Odyssey? Was that a recent watch for you?
Well, I was in film school, so like 3-4 years, but
more recent than me.
Yeah, so
way more recent. I talk shit because it's just fun to talk shit. But it's been
everyone was gargling
it
in film school, trying to like sound cool or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie?
And that's kind of where I guess that's where my tainted attitude came from.
It was a film.
Yeah,
shut your pop.
Some guy was like, I could just watch that movie all day, every day.
No, you can't.
And then I watched it, and I was like, please kill yourself, sir.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when I walked away, and I wasn't like blown the fuck away. Like people like, holy shit, yes, I fucking love. Then I was like, okay, well, either they're wrong or I missed something, and I guess I missed something.
You're lying if you watch it. If you watch it and then say I'll watch it again in the next 3 years, you're lying. It's just not a movie you watch.
No, once every time. Like I think
it doesn't have a lot of rewatchability. Right?
Yeah.
But it was hilarious that the opening sequence to it was the opening
to
sequence
Barbie.
It was like,
100%. I laughed my ass off.
I was sitting in there like,
Oh, did Barbie recreate like the monolith with the
Yes. She was the monolith.
the Barbie outside of the monolith. Yeah, that whole scene, like,
Yeah, it was fabulous.
beautiful.
Joe,
Yeah.
and that'll bring us to the halfway point of our list.
Okay, so 1985's sci-fi adventure Explorers.
I was hoping I've never seen it before, so I really want to hear you talk about
Ethan
this.
Hawke, the late great River Phoenix, Jason Preston, good kid actors from the 80s, right? And it's where some friends spend some free time watching sci-fi films, playing video games, and reading comic books. I haven't watched this so long. It was like a childhood favorite.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I did rewatch it a couple years ago.
I've only
because
just recently heard of this movie.
Popped up on streaming.
And when I heard the
so
entire cast that was in, I was like, how is this not one of my how is it not a childhood movie of mine? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how you missed it, dude.
So I would be excited to just fucking see that.
But there's a lot of stuff you missed out.
I mean,
let's not go down that trail.
We
again.
know.
We've talked about that already, and we'll go farther down into let's save that for another day. But yeah, so surprisingly, his affinity for all things fantastical yields real results when his vivid dream about technology and science loving friend Wolfgang, they build a spacecraft, these kids, right? And it frickin' works. And they go to space and meet aliens. And it like space pirates, and it's a great children's movie.
Is it the movie with like the lizards that need warmth and the fire and stuff? Is that a thing? Like they go to space and there's like lizards that like if you flick on your little lighter, your cigarette lighter, they come from like miles and miles away just because they're like
I don't think
cold-blooded
so.
dudes trying to find warmth. Is that?
No.
I think maybe maybe it's a movie like that. I don't know. I think I might have seen it.
That's not something that I remember that stands out to
maybe
me
it's a
from the movie. So
space kids movie.
It says the boys take off into outer space and encounter some very odd and extraterrestrial life.
So it could be. It sounds like it's a possibility.
It is a possibility, but that's not something that I remember standing out.
Was it like they built it in like the gutter behind their house or something like that? Or is that part of that? Or
they
no?
built it like out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, out of junk. Yeah, okay, you ever been on the Tilt-A-Whirl with the thing? It's built out of like one of those.
Gotcha.
Get that idea. So they made a UFO.
They made a flying saucer, yeah. Like
So
they made a spaceship,
cool.
yeah. It's an amazing '80s film.
Oh,
yeah.
I fucking
Talk
love
about
the
all
80s.
practical effects and built up. Some of these alien costumes are ridiculous.
80s movies, and
cutesy.
I would love
It's
to
kid
explore
stuff,
that. But 80s kids movies where it was just like, because I think kids movies nowadays suck, and by that I mean like they're pretty like simple. They don't.
Okay, wait. Have you seen Frozen or Moana?
Okay, so I love
Those
Moana.
two are both pretty awesome, but I know what you're saying where they
But
suck.
they have that formula, that kids movie formula, where half of it's jokes for parents and the kids won't get it.
That aside, their animation and animation lives in that world, and that's what I mean. Like modern kids movies, most of them are animated CGI. Like I'm not going to be able to get a lot of good titles, so the ones I give up might be like of course, like Sandlot or Explorers, like the movies where it was like real life film, and then kids got in crazy adventures. That was 80s and 90s. We had a lot of those.
So
there was one I remember where it was like a new suburb development, like Old Canton, right? It was just like where it's like just the no grass yet, this and that, and these kids were playing with remote cars, RC cars, and they I think stumbled across some like burglars, like Home Alone style, and then they were like making weird contraptions with their fucking toys. It was just it was a whole thing in the 80s to be like where kids lived in a different world outside of
because we were still like that was the last generation of don't come back till the streetlights are on,
right?
And that's when dinner's ready. And
right.
If you're late, you're getting a whooping.
And, and your dinner's gonna be cold. God damn it.
And come home from school, glad you're done. Put your books down, get your homework done, get the fuck out of the house and play. Go see your friends. I don't want to see you for 5 hours.
Jesus.
Just my parents? Sorry.
No, that was scripted. I thought you just took my mom's transcript.
It's like the thermostat thing in Family Guy, right?
Someone touched thermostat?
Hey, Peter, my thing went off. You can't touch thermostat?
So that's the first half of our list. I think we're going to take a break real quick. We're all shaking our legs, so I think some bladders need to be emptied. But to refresh it, we're going to start out. I started with Sunshine. Quinn mentioned Ad Astra. Joseph brought to us The Martian. Prometheus, 2001: A Space Odyssey from Quinn, and we are finishing off this first half with Explorers, 1985 from Joseph.
Great film, yeah. If you have not, I highly recommend it.
We will be right back. Yum, yum.
Welcome back.
Bladder empty, bladder refill.
Yeah.
All right, when we took our break, Joe had just got done recommending Explorers to us from 1985.
Great movie.
One that somehow missed my childhood, and I'm pretty fucking angry about it.
Too much science.
So that brings us back to me. That one was mentioned already. See, I know that. Good ones. All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit on a stretch here because no, I'm just gonna do it. But 2005's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with Martin Freeman and Mos Def.
All right.
So funny. So the reason I think this one qualifies is because if you're not familiar, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is about a breed of aliens coming by Earth. They are building a intergalactic freeway.
Yep. Got to build bypasses.
Got to build a bypass. And it was listed that they were going to destroy Earth in order to build this bypass in some hall, in some intergalactic bureaucratic fucking place that Earth didn't know about, and so hence...
And didn't send a representative.
Send a representative to fight for it, so...
the Vogons, bureaucrats of
in this
space.
Unfortunate position, Martin Freeman's character is rescued by Mos Def's character, who flies in and makes sure he grabs his towel and whisks him off. They hitchhike into outer space, and then from there, a bunch of hilarity
Hitchhike on spacecrafts.
Yes.
After
having their last beers, drinking up at the end of the world.
So your argument that this qualifies because there's a great, like a whole civilization in outer space going on.
There's a whole government, but Earth is not a part of it.
Is not a.
So Earth.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you. Earth as a whole, with the exception of Zooey Deschanel's character, who we meet a little bit later on, right up there. Yep. Zooey Deschanel's character comes in a little bit later, but outside of her, the viewing audience is for the representative, Martin Freeman's character, has never been to space, and the Earth that he came from has only been to space as much as we presently have been to space. So it's a whole upheaval of all of a sudden, like, not only is there a whole intergalactic government and society and whole infrastructure there, but Earth isn't a part of it at all.
There's
like,
a president of space.
The universe goes on without us.
I love Sam Rockwell so much.
And it's British. British humor it's one of my favorite British comedies as far as like the style of humor that they represent.
Top notch,
some people go Monty Python. I think Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is just fucking hilarious. So I am surprised the number of people who have not seen the movie or have heard of the movie or have somehow missed out on it. And I think it's a treasure every time. There's just no way you can't enjoy Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So I want to put that one out there because if you haven't or if you've been hesitating to see it, you need to watch Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, I was always shocked, but even before the movie came out, that people weren't aware of the book or hadn't read
or the radio show.
Because it's just such a great piece of pop culture.
Yep, and I've since listened to the book narrated by Stephen Fry, and it's equally hilarious.
Well, Stephen Fry
100%
amazing.
Different. So the book came from a radio show. The radio show, I believe, was the first, but there was books, then there was a TV series, and there was movies. So there's all these, but 100% of those iterations are all different from each other, and that's what I think is fucking amazing about it.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
No.
Man, you are in for a treat. In for a treat. It's one that didn't do very well box office wise, as far as I know. But I think I want to change that. Just here we are on UFPod, where we're changing that. People are going to watch it now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it couldn't do well with the stars.
Dude, it's got fucking Malkovich.
Yeah. So many good people.
Who played the Z-Bob? Sam Rockwell?
Yeah. Who I mentioned, the president of
Yes,
space.
the president of space.
Just ridiculous. Alan Rickman plays a robot, the late great Alan Rickman.
The sighing doors every time they open.
Robot with human emotions and it's just overcoming melancholy all the time. It's so perfect.
And it gives the ultimate answer of life and the universe.
42.
So yeah, that is my next recommendation. I recommend you all rush out right now and find Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
What was the question though? We know the answer, but what was the question?
What was the question? The question was, what is
the meaning of life?
Life.
42. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, something's missing there.
Have you ever done math?
I'm lost in translation.
Math, I mean, you do complicated algebra. It starts out a fucking mess, and just somehow you clean it up, and it's just acceptable.
Yeah, no, I know how to do calculus.
There it is.
It's not that hard, no.
It is hard.
Well, it comes with an equation, and we're missing that.
Yes. Hey, listen, the computer figured it out. So I got to type this down. Quinn, what is your next recommendation?
So this one's it's a true story about some astronauts that are trying to go to the moon and some stuff goes wrong. Apollo 13. Tom Hanks is in it. It's actually pretty awesome. They're going to the moon and an oxygen tank, if I believe, explodes and a bunch of bad stuff happens and they're literally like on the phone with NASA, who's like
dramatized biopic.
Yeah, they got like socks and different like parts of the ship.
Whatever they had on the ship, like how are we going to solve this?
How can we just like turn this into this thing? I don't remember what they were trying to make, but it was just like I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool, like that happened. And then they made it back. If I
remember correctly, it was some sort of filtration.
It was a filtration, some kind.
The air, yeah.
But they had. Water. I mean, you couldn't be like, oh yeah, this would do it. Well, yeah, obviously that would do it, but they don't fucking have that up there.
Yeah, They have to solve it with what they have. They just had like a bunch of
genius engineers in the room, and they just made it happen, just American way.
I think that's what's great about that movie is exactly that, because like all the stars of the movie are in the space capsule, but all the stars of like the rescue mission were right there at Mission Control. Like they were the nerds, they were the dorks, they were the people that didn't get the glory of the news and everything else, but
they were just as
100%.
Yeah.
100% as pertinent, and that I think because I haven't seen Apollo 13 in a very long time, and it's a Ron Howard movie, and it's glorious. It had some groundbreaking CGI at the time, the ice breaking off of the ship when it was taking off.
Gary Sinise, Bill Pullman,
Kevin Bacon,
Bill Paxton,
Kevin Bacon. What space to me is frightening. Like the ocean is frightening, but the ocean is here on Earth, and in some reasonable amount of time rescue might come. In space, it takes fucking effort just to get your ass up there. There is no time to send anyone else up there to get you, and that's so fucking devastating. And for those men who were expected to be landing on the moon, Tom Hanks' character had missed an opportunity to go to the moon once before, and this was his chance to get to the moon, and shit just fucking goes awry. But not only that, but if I remember correctly, didn't Gary Sinise's character didn't make it, right? He got sick. Was it Gary Sinise's character got sick? And then he had his knowledge on the ground.
Kevin Bacon went up.
And that helped because but he wasn't even the right one because there was someone else who was sick, and it was just it's a phenomenal example of, I guess, like even in the best case scenario of planning, that things can just go wrong for you. I think that's a great choice.
They were lucky to make it.
I don't think we talk enough about Apollo 13. That would have earlier when we brought up the topic the last episode, I wanted to be like, oh yeah, don't mention Apollo 13, but it's like no. I think you have to mention Apollo 13 on this list.
And there's this cool part too where they're like televising it in the ship and like no one tunes in because there's like a sports game.
Yes.
Like, no one cares anymore.
Because it was just him talking to his wife, and this is boring. Because the scope, the idea of like we forget about this. Like
to the moon before.
But think about this: you text message all day long.
Yeah.
All day long, I can send a text right now, and right now, someone somewhere else on this fucking planet can receive that message.
Yeah.
And I don't think fuck all about it. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
To send invisible words through space and back. So I think that scene specifically where people are just like, it got boring. There are dudes up in space right now suffocating because they're fucking stuck there. It's not like a loose tire on the freeway where someone's gonna come along. There's no one coming.
I wonder like how many people are up there like at all time, like who's like in the space station and stuff.
I don't know because I don't think we follow well enough other countries. I forget that Russia sends people up there. China sends people up there. I don't know what the fuck's going on out there.
They're on a rotation. I think they can't stay more than 18 months.
For a long time, so NASA was discontinued. When the fuck was it? Like mid 2000s somewhere.
All the space shuttles were decommissioned. Yeah. Now the only way
we
up
weren't
going to
do it anymore.
Soyuz capsules.
I think then we figured out like, hey, we can only go so far, and there's nothing really worth snagging so far as we'll go.
Well, when you really look at the amount of money that is spent on it, what is the ROI?
Yeah, we can go get a lot more oil in other places.
We could house people like, we need to make sure that there are habitable places, so when we fuck this place up, we can go somewhere. I'm like, okay, but who are you bringing? Because there are homeless people here.
Right. Yeah.
There are people starving here, but no, please strap $5 billion to a fucking machine.
Well, that was the good thing about the space shuttles is that they were reusable and you could go in and out of space.
I don't know much about
rockets.
From what I understand, the spaceships that they would still send today are the same designed spaceships that they had back in the 60s. Meaning,
the Russian Soyuz stuff, right? But,
so, I mean,
but when in the 90s, when they were going up regularly like that with the space shuttles, they were reusing those, and it was better technology, because they were actually able to fly and land back in instead of capsule,
right? Instead of just crashing,
crashing into the water, hopefully alive.
Yeah, maybe,
yeah, which is what they're still kind of doing. Like I think there's a better, but there's no are they using space shuttles anywhere? Again, you say in America nowadays there's no information, right? There's so much of it, you have to go looking for it. You can't trust your local news. You can't they're not telling you anything anymore. Fear mongering and anyway.
Next choice. Joe's going on another podcast right now.
All right, so my next choice, I still got a couple here, but we'll go back to 1997, the sci-fi drama Jodie Foster, Contact, where there's a satellite signal that comes down and they interpret it, and I don't know, it's really good. They end up building this thing
based on a Carl Sagan novel.
Yes, and it takes them through wormholes into space, and they meet extraterrestrials, and it's like the visuals are stunning, and it was a technological masterpiece of its time when it came to some of those shots and the stuff they used to achieve it.
I had Contact on my list. It's a fucking great movie. The only other movie that I would really put it up against as far as the emotional ride that it takes you on is probably Arrival.
The new one with Amy Adams. Yeah, that's really good, and that was almost on my thing, but they don't leave the
No, and so they didn't really leave the planet on Contact either. However,
she does though. She does
at the end, but even before that, she was still 100% of her effort was exploring
outer space. Yes,
whether it was from here or from there,
and it was
the Hubble telescope that they had in there,
and then it jumps ahead because of interaction with the entity. So
that's a hard movie to recommend because it's not exciting, but I tell you what, it's worth every fucking minute.
I loved it.
It's
Jake Busey in that is
there are a few movies out there that can move you in this strange emotional way that Contact was able to, if you allow it to. Because if you're being stubborn and not allowing it to go on the ride, that you have to put yourself in her character's shoes to be willing to hear that new information. Because they were getting radio signals or something that they were trying to interpret, wasn't it?
Something like that.
There was some sort of communication, the Contact
that was coming in.
Yes.
Whether it was from a deep space probe like Voyager 2 or, you have to watch the movie. It's all in, they explain it very well.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to remember it.
Probably
it's a while ago.
Since my college days.
College
age.
Early
really
2000s.
College, but yeah.
What about you, Contact?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of movie.
Very popular when it came out. It actually did well, but it didn't last long because like sci-fi then was just they were popping them out,
and it wasn't an exciting sci-fi. You know, like it's not not Star Wars
it was
in
a drama.
any way.
It was more of an epic.
Yeah. Yeah, great recommendation, Joe. All right, so that brings me to my final pick. How do I want to end this? Okay, I'm gonna go with this. Is actually a new movie for me. It was one that I hadn't actually seen before, but after watching it, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna put this as, if I were to rate it, I'd probably say this is probably like a 5.5, 6 out of 10, which is not a terrible thing, right? But what I enjoyed about this movie was the stretch that it makes. It's basically Night of the Living Dead on Mars. And that's 2013's The Last Days on Mars with Liev Schreiber.
Oh, yeah, very good. Love it.
And it is about a team, an exploration team on Mars who is ending a cycle of trying to find life on Mars and whatever. They were there researching, right. And
but
on the last day, they're within...
feet on planet, though.
Human feet on planet, and they're within 19 days of their rescue shuttle. I don't want to say rescue, their scheduled shuttle to land and dock for them to get up and get the fuck out for a 6-month journey home. And everyone's got their roles as they typically do in these science movies, where not everyone is there to do the same thing. You know, there's a captain and this and that.
A specialty,
right? But what happens is, here it is on the very last day. Excuse me. A couple of the scientists. As scientists
you can hear it when you hit the table. Just saying. It's loud.
I'll stop hitting the table. I'm talking too fucking much. I can't hear it. So on the very last day, a discovery is made, but scientists want to be the one. Mm-hmm. At least that's what the implication is here in this movie, right? And so the scientist decides that he wants to go and verify a discovery he had without sharing it with everybody. So he does the thing that in every horror movie you're not supposed to do, and that's the obvious, and goes out there without protection, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, fucking chaos ensues. And it's a very small cast. I don't remember the name of the young lady that's in there, but everyone performs very well. I'm a Liev Schreiber fan. I don't think he's ever gotten his day in the spotlight. I think he's a fucking phenomenal actor.
He's amazing. I love him and Ray Donovan. I think that's the closest thing he got to a day.
Probably
really,
The Omen, which is a shitty fucking movie, but
I mean, he was great in the Scream franchises when he was still part of it. Like,
the small little bit that he was, and he got dragged in. But this is what I'm saying. I was like, I gotta watch this and see if it's
powerful actor. He's very good.
But I actually enjoyed it. It had some fun to it. It's not a perfect movie. If you go in and it's horror in space, and it's a different approach, and it was shot well, it was performed well. The plot is simple enough to where it doesn't get in its own way. It just delivers. And so I recommend it.
I would too, yeah. I enjoyed it.
Oh, you did see it?
I have seen it, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm a Liev Schreiber fan.
Something you're familiar with, Quinn?
I've not seen the movie.
Yeah, I literally only came across it. I remember what I watched it on. I was looking for something to watch to try and expand my list for this discussion, and I seen Liev Schreiber, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it. I'll watch it."
Yeah, I think it's on Max because I
might have been on
recently,
Max,
but
I hate that they call it Max, not HBO Max.
Dude, it's so fucking
it's
stupid.
Like, you're so
it didn't
dumb.
make my list because I realized while making my list that there was a barrage of Red Planet movies, and there was really we could do a whole thing on just Mars movies.
I don't want to do it because most
we're
of them
not
are
going to do it. Yeah, we've already talked about 2 of them, and I have, at least 3 more on my didn't make the list part of my list, honorable mentions that we'll get to later. But yeah, like basically a Red Planet's one. You know, so yeah. Quinn, what is your final recommendation?
So this movie, it's an animation movie. It takes itself surprisingly seriously. The Buzz Lightyear movie.
Interesting.
It's actually really good. So
I wanted to see it.
It's called Lightyear, right?
Maybe Lightyear. Yeah, maybe it's called Lightyear.
But
I'll look it up.
It's basically the Buzz Lightyear animation.
It was
movie.
It was good. Yeah,
Chris Evans one, right?
So yeah, it's basically like Buzz Lightyear.
It's just Lightyear.
That's what I thought.
They're on a mission, and they land on a foreign planet, and they get attacked, and the ship sustains damage, and they can't leave, and so they start to build this colony, and they build it up enough where he ends up going out into space to try to like find resources or save them or something like that. And he comes back, and because he went into hyperspace, there's like a time jump, and every time the colony that's like surviving on this planet gets enough resources to send him out to try to rescue him again, there's like decades in the time jump, and like his original like officer, like, commanding officer. By the end of it, the movie, it's like her daughter who wasn't even born yet.
His boss.
And it's actually really deep and really.
Yeah, I really wanted to watch it. It just slipped by me, and I hadn't come back to it. So I'm glad that you recommended it because I didn't hear any feedback on it. I just kept seeing that it bombed because Disney's doing terrible since COVID.
It only bombed because they made like the commander and officer like have like a girlfriend, and when she was a girl. So people like really like shat on it super hard, but like it was actually I thought it was super good. So
I really enjoyed it. I slept on it for a little while, but then it was the COVID thing where you're like, okay, no new content, or how many times can I rewatch Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead,
right?
Or whatever you're rewatching because everybody has their favorite shows, right? Like I know with you it's Futurama, Rick and Morty,
it can
stuff
be
like that, yeah. So, so I put that on because I was trying to put on something more that my daughter would enjoy that was more interesting because we were in the house together. And I've watched it. I watched it twice because she liked it, so we put it on later again that week, and then she just never asked for it again because I think she enjoyed the visuals of it, but the interesting parts to me, the story, she's 5, she didn't care about the story, she wanted spaceships.
It was like surprisingly like complicated and like kind of awesome. And too, like it had been a movie I've been waiting for like 15 years. Like when I was a little kid, I would always get like obsessed with like certain parts of movies, like the opening scene of Incredibles with like the cop scene, or the part where Zurg and Buzz fight in Toy Story 1. I was like, dude, that's so sick as like a little toddler, and so I was like, I just want
the little show intro or whatever.
Even when I was just like a little kid, I was like, man, I really just wish there was just a Buzz Lightyear like fighting Zurg movie. And then I actually got it, and then I was able to like enjoy it as an adult because it was complicated. It wasn't just like
and I think it was a movie made for the use out there, and I think 100%. There weren't enough people that wanted it the same way you did. Like they wanted something different.
It's a weird. So if this is the age group you're going for, you're hitting a market where they're either in career mode or in parent mode, and the kids are too young for the movie, or you're too busy for the movie.
And I think what hit with you is the military mode.
Yeah, no, too. That there was too,
there was a very military or
kind of just like
Air Force Navy aspect to it because he was like always docking the plane.
Someone my age, when the first Toy Story came out, I was a prime age. That was me. I was 9, 10, 11. I don't remember when it came out, but I was of prime age. A few years after that, after the success of 2, then they came out with the Buzz Lightyear cartoon. So we had The Adventures of Buzz Lightyear, and it was
I was
fuck yes,
know that
man.
existed.
Fuck yes, it was a cartoon. There was extra characters. Everyone had it was a whole thing. It was on Toon Disney.
Okay,
but it didn't take itself seriously. Right. So for those of us who saw that, we were like, we already got that.
But you didn't. This one took itself seriously.
Exactly. And so, but
I enjoyed
that.
But
it's people of my age bracket that like, oh, okay, we've got the kids, the family, like those. You're taking your kids to see Disney movies, and if the parents are like, I think it hits sales.
Yeah, I think. And I really think the numbers bombed too because. Like once the press got out that there was like a same-sex thing, a lot of the more red areas in America.
The rhetoric around things and the reasons you're not supposed to watch it because life happens is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of life that happens that you don't have to agree with it for it to happen.
Also, let it. Just ignore it and enjoy the rest of it. Just let it be. It's dumb.
Also cool because like you mean to tell me that like if you're stuck on a space station with like a dude for like. All the time, you're not gonna think about it. Maybe you won't do it, but you're not gonna.
Dude, so like think about legit discussion right there. I mean,
who's pumping out the silicone dildos in space?
Where do the jokes of prison come from? What the fuck you think happens there? If you know you're gonna be there for life, and this is your fucking opportunity, I watched Oz. It was pretty fucking clear. Like, no, I don't remember anyone protesting. Oh, Oz went woke. There's gay people.
No, that was a great show. I love that show.
Great
nothing
show.
to do with.
Lightyear. I'm pleased that that's on here.
And it wasn't even if you are going to be someone that like is uncomfortable with that. Like the way they did in the movie was just kind of just like, it's just an.
It's just life.
It's just, they're just. Like,
they didn't. It wasn't a focus.
Yeah.
It was just
it wasn't
a part of someone's life that you can focus on or not. Like it does. It didn't affect the story.
They didn't do some like side plot where it's like they won't accept me, and then Buzz is like, oh, I accept you, and then it's like It was
title credits.
And even if there was, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, it was really just like like instead of the commander having a husband, she had a girlfriend. That was that. But yeah, it was super awesome. Super awesome.
All right, Joe, you bringing us down to the close of the list tonight.
Okay, so
I'm really happy. I haven't popped the bars into red a lot today, so I'm really pleased.
I'm torn with this one because I don't know. I guess I'll leave that for honorable mentions. I'm just going to go with the one that I think was better cinematically.
Which would you recommend the most for someone who's looking for something to watch?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the one that's more about the space exploration and more, more artistry for me, right? Like, because we'll do honorable mentions and we'll get to that. I've definitely watched this one more than any of the other ones that I have left. So that's really my choice. Is Passengers, 2016, Jennifer Lawrence, Chris Pratt, has a cameo by Andy Garcia and Lawrence Fishburne as well. It's just a beautiful film. Cinematically, it's done great. I'm sure quite a bit of it was done on green screen or whatever, but you can tell there were practical props made for this, like one of the little mini robots that Chris Pratt character actually interacts with and like takes pieces of it apart and stuff like that, So ultimately, it's a thing. It says a routine journey through space to a new home, but they're traveling through, and it's this point where Earth is basically just overcrowded, not uninhabitable, but
people got to get the fuck out.
And this is the second time they're going to Homestead 2, so like the second Earth-type planet that they found and it's in an unexplored part of the universe.
And they've never been.
Right. So it's a pilgrimage. So that part of it fits the space exploration and it's just really good because there's all these people on this huge ship and Chris Pratt's character's pod malfunctions because of an asteroid shower, and an asteroid or a meteorite gets through the ship somehow, and there's some catastrophic failures, but they build over time. And he's just a passenger, happens to be an engineer, so he's able to get in, hack stuff, fix them, so make things work. But he's freaking out alone for like a whole year on this ship by himself. Kind of Shining style, goes a little crazy.
Yeah.
There's an android character played by, I forget who, but he's a brilliant actor. It should be right here. Michael Sheen.
Fucking Michael Sheen.
He does so great. The little things, like the little twerks and stuff in his programming that are partly his acting and partly like an effect they did on him. But like that show that he's not human and he's an android. Like he doesn't have legs, but they only show him from the waist up. It's just the way they did it. It was I loved it.
I actually have not seen that one, and it's one that I really did want to see because I'm a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan, and I find Chris Pratt funny when he's original. So it's one that's been
this
I've been
was
meaning to
original.
watch.
Like there was like
have you seen Passengers?
Oh, I've seen like scenes out on YouTube. Like there's this really famous like bartender scene where Chris Pratt's talking to the
which
bartender.
looks a lot like The Shining. It reminds me.
I guess
a lot
so.
of The Shining.
I'm like a pretty big Chris Pratt fan. What do you mean when you say he's like not original? I'm just curious.
So I mean, most of the movies I actually do enjoy him at, but I found the Jurassic World movies to be shite.
100%, dude. 100%.
I guess really that's where my disdain ends.
Yep, no, I agree.
What about his performance is unoriginal? I'm gonna go ahead and say this while you think about your answer. I agree with you that it's uninspired, but what's unoriginal about it? That
might have been. I mean,
maybe like he did a bad franchise, but I don't know. I think he's whatever.
They're for the dinosaurs.
I'm quelling you.
What I mean?
I'm quelling you.
I think it's
Blue.
Oh yeah, that's what.
Because she's not just going to eat your fucking arm off. The hand out.
I'm not saying it's his fault either.
No,
but because the guy, I mean, Parks and Recs is fucking OG,
and that's what I love him for. Not only is he a good actor, yes, but he's hilarious and extremely talented.
So I guess what I mean by unoriginal,
my favorite project of his, aside from Parks and Rec, which is a great character, but a very underrated movie, 5-Year Engagement with.
Great movie.
I haven't seen it.
Great movie.
Chris
Filmed
Pratt,
in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, filmed in Ann Arbor.
I didn't know
Michigan.
that. I'd forgotten that Chris Pratt was in it.
Yeah, it was Ann Arbor and San Francisco. But yes, a lot of it is
very recognizable Ann Arbor.
Yeah, but yeah, Chris Pratt plays Jason Segel's best friend. And
The restaurant owner, the guy with
Emily Blunt's in it.
he's got like a taco stand or something.
Interesting.
No,
I don't know. I've seen it once in theaters. So it was a while ago.
Again, but they did work in a kitchen together at some point.
Okay.
But they both go on to do different things, and but he's just so goddamn funny.
Yeah.
And in the scene where he gets married and he sings at his wedding is just not only does he have an amazing voice, but he's so funny when he does hilarious. It. He's like singing operatically and beautifully, but his like actions are just so frat boy and funny. It's
was
great.
that a movie by the guy who did like Knocked Up and
it was not Judd Apatow. I don't know.
Okay,
or maybe it was. I don't think so. I don't have it pulled up, so I'm not.
All right, so our 12 recommendations for tonight on space exploration. I'll go through this one more time, and then we'll talk a little bit about our discards or our ones that we didn't mention. I don't have a huge list, so I only have a couple to talk about.
Yeah, I only got 3.
We can try and determine what we're going to talk about next time, or maybe we wing it and surprise you when we come back and figure it out as a team here on what we want to talk about. But we will most definitely be rolling this here die. I'm going to push this over here to Quinn to choose the movie that we're going to watch at the start of our next series. So the 12 movies that we mentioned tonight, the recommendations that we had were Sunshine, 2007's movie by Danny Boyle, Ad Astra starring Brad Pitt, The Martian, Ridley Scott's incredibly visceral lost movie with Matt Damon, Prometheus, back-to-back Ridley Scott, Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, the 1985 children's movie Explorers, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Apollo 13, Contact, The Last Days on Mars, Lightyear, and finally Passengers.
So
Quinn?
I'm hoping it's not 2001. I'm actually hoping that it's Sunshine.
That's a really good. So there are some good movies on here. I also don't want to have to watch 2001, but it would probably benefit me.
Well, if you approach it as a study in cinema rather than
I know
it's like 3 hours.
Right.
Okay.
3 hours.
Not
of
number. Please don't
acid.
do
Number 5.
Number 5. Oh, thank God.
Number 3, The Martian.
Okay, cool.
Have you seen The Martian yet?
I'll watch it again. It's been a few years.
It's been a while for me as well.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we've all watched it, but I guess it's not really about what's new. It's about
second row that did technically fall off, and that was my
that was
role.
that was an interception. That wasn't Quinn's. There you go, loopholes. I like loopholes.
No, that doesn't count. It was half a roll. Give a whole roll in there. There we go. That's better.
Number 1, hey! And the faiths say it's Sunshine. So we watched Sunshine. Danny Boyle's Sunshine will lead us off on our next episode. So, Quinn, did you have any extras that you hadn't mentioned that are worth mentioning?
No, I actually was Buzz Lightyear. I pulled that out of my brain. I was like thinking.
I didn't even consider it. Didn't come up in any of the Google searches that it did. So
one for my final, and then I was like, think something movie where they actually explored space, and then I was like, wait, Buzz, yeah.
And
that's a good poll. It was like a kids movie, but it was enough of adult.
But I think that needs to be there, though.
I wouldn't mind.
It does, yeah. That was. Your choices rounded out. I think all of our choices round each other's out, but I always love how not to draw attention to it, but the age gap and your difference in consuming media from different generational, it always rounds us out nicely because you always have good options, but they're not always necessarily new movies or just I don't know. I enjoy hearing what you bring to the table.
Different. Yeah, because you guys are kind of like, even though you're different, it's like birds of a feather. You know, you guys have been around each other for there's a lot of cross pollination between you two. So yeah.
Joe, what do you got left on the table?
I got 3 on the list here. I'm gonna start with what I've already kind of prefaced was the Red Planet.
The Red Planet,
all about Mars. The movie
Mission
Red Planet,
to Mars.
Actually, yeah, Red Planet and Mission to Mars are the 2
Val
that
Kilmer,
I have up
Jon
there.
Favreau.
Right. Yep.
Stinkers.
Yep. Really? I mean, the Red Planet was not awesome, but Val Kilmer, Tom Sizemore, what's her name from Trinity from Carrie Ann Moss. Yeah. It wasn't horrible.
No,
I enjoyed it, but
I don't remember. I've only seen one of the 2. They both came out around the same time, and I was working at the theater at the time. I don't remember which one I've seen.
They both came out in 2000. Mm-hmm. They did, and so Mission to Mars I would recommend more. I enjoyed it more. That's Gary Sinise, Tim Robbins, Don Cheadle, Connie Nielsen.
I love Connie Nielsen.
Yeah, just Nielsen. That's right. Yeah, it's good. It's the first manned mission to Mars in 2020, ends in disaster. But there's some extraterrestrial involvement with this one. Like maybe Mars isn't dead. Like you have to watch it. There's this whole kind of ties in with Egyptian.
So are they movies that are worth watching, or are they movies that exist and can round out the list?
Well, definitely Red Planet. You could probably go with that.
And that's a Brian De Palma movie too, if I remember correctly.
And I enjoyed it for its cinematic. Yeah, it was well written. It was well shot. It's just I can understand why it didn't do well because at that time we were kind of flooded with the sci-fi alien, especially Mars movies. Literally 2 in the same year.
Yeah, so much so that I've seen one and I don't remember what I saw.
There you go. But I do lean towards Mission to Mars as being the better 2000 Red Planet movies.
Okay.
Moving on from that, Galaxy Quest was up there. That was the one that
they were the actors that got pulled up into
either Passengers or Galaxy Quest. But yeah, Galaxy Quest. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Justin Long has an appearance in it. Some great comedic characters too. People who played the aliens. I forget their names, but. They're great character actors, and they did amazing in that. Yeah, and it is the one where it's like this world Star Trek, right? It's
right, but they get pulled away. They're just actors
because the signals reach space. There's somebody out there that needs the help of Captain whatever. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
They get pulled out into space into a world where everything from the show is real because these aliens are so technologically advanced that they just built everything the way that the writers made it. It's hilarious because it's a comedy too. So
there are two on my short list here that I had added that one of them I just had there because I was running out. I needed to fill space, and then I was like, oh, you know what? I can make Hitchhiker's Guide be eligible and Prometheus. So I didn't have to use these. One is a phenomenal movie, and that's Interstellar. And I kind of wanted to avoid playing that because we did, ended up with Christopher Nolan.
I intentionally didn't say that. I almost did if I couldn't come up with Buzz Lightyear. But.
Yeah. Because it's like 2001, especially because 2001 was mentioned. I think 2001 is the formative of the trippy, weird, existential space movies. The other movie was a movie called Apollo 18, which does a lot of interesting things, but I think ultimately it wasn't a win for me as a movie. And that is a movie about the Apollo 18 going to the moon and then aliens being on the moon. And it was done found footage style, so it was like Blair Witch in space.
We watched this together, did we not?
Possibly. I think I watched it with John. But
or you recommended it to me and I watched it.
Maybe I didn't. If I did, I'm sorry.
But I enjoyed it. Oh, I did.
So that's where I was at.
Awesome.
It's where I was at. Because I don't remember if I just didn't like it because of the time that I watched it and I was being, too snobby about it, or whether or not it's worth a second look. But it was definitely one that I was like, okay, I like the idea and the approach and what they were trying to do.
Knowing you and when you watched it was probably the latter. You should probably
very
give it
much.
Another visit.
Very much.
You were having a grumpy face there.
I've grown. And in Interstellar, I've only seen once, and I own it, and I think it's a fabulous movie from my experience of seeing it. But I remember more of it being about him and his daughter than it was about being in space in general.
Right, yeah.
So,
and it was well done, but yeah, I didn't think it really fit
the exploratory.
And there were two that are you done with your list?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there were two that I thought of that I didn't even put on my list. And I don't know why they didn't hit the honorable mentions, but probably just because I felt I had enough, and they were like safe bets. I thought so, and maybe I thought they would come up, and that is Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds.
I thought you'd mention it.
Life.
It was another movie where I was
so
like,
good.
I put it in there.
The main thing I
probably just
like
need to
about
rewatch
it is it wasn't a happy ending.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed.
I think when I saw it, at the time that I saw it, I remember people talking about like, oh my God, it's so great, it's so great, it's so great. And then I watched it, I was like, I've fucking seen this movie before. It wasn't this movie, but I've fucking seen this movie before.
And yeah.
And while
what movie would you call that then?
Well, it's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't recall specifically.
I
feel like it was Alien. Right,
well,
but
a
here's
much
what got
smaller
me.
vessel, much more controlled
With smart people and making really fucking stupid decisions. And so I know that's how horror movies are made, but this one, it really fucking bothered me that, these are the people with the degrees. Like, come on. Yeah. So it's probably a movie I need to revisit.
It shows that when you're in
probably a movie I need to revisit.
Don't always do the right thing.
We all do it. Yeah, we clam up. Sometimes you can't answer a trivia question because of the fucking pressure. So I get it.
Sometimes how smart you are really, doesn't show in a emergency situation. People when they panic react completely differently. It's a different thought process. Especially if somebody who's never been put through that fight or flight in their life, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's their first time facing this type of panic. They tend to do some really stupid shit. Anyways, but yeah, this is why I didn't make it. And another one was shit. Did I talk too much and I forgot? Yeah, I think I did.
Another one I was going to mention, but it was another one that I was stretching on, but could be worth revisiting because I have seen it in conversation online. Mentioned that maybe I just, it was wrong time, wrong place for me. Excuse me, and that was the Europa report.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Yeah.
A spaceship on an exploration visit ends up in this, I don't want to say a planet because it was a place. It was weird because basically what happens is they end up like under ice. But they fly into ice and then they got to get out, and then it goes into it's tropey. There's it was low budget. I didn't realize at the time I watched it was low budget because it just felt
sure. I get you. Yeah.
But it was trying hard.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, overall, like there was movies that I've heard of that I found that like I need to see. There was a movie called The Right Stuff, which is like a 3.5 hour movie from like the 70s or 80s with like a shit ton of actors that we would know in today, and apparently it was a big deal back in the day before our time, and it's probably worth watching. There was 2001
like a Kids on the Block song.
The Right Stuff. But it was a surprising topic for me to approach this time. So if there were any movies that we didn't mention that you would most definitely want us to consider, let us know. We are available at email at ufostudio.detroit@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at @BeefordClark. Quinn, where can people follow you?
My Instagram is Quinn, Quinn, dot as in period, McLaren, MCLAREN. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Joe?
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram under Joseph Sheldon Quick, but my Instagram handle is chaotic_artisan. Yeah.
And next week we will be discussing Sunshine after a fresh rewatch, which I'm excited about because it has been probably a decade or so since I've seen it in full capacity. And it'll be a first-time watch for Quinn. And Joe has seen it before, so it'll be another fresh rewatch. And I always enjoy watching Danny Boyle and breaking it down. And if there are any topics that you would like us to build a list around, let us know. Send us your suggestions. And as more details come out of our Patreon and how that's going to develop, we will make sure to let you know. Thank you, everyone, and we will catch you next time.
See y'all. Thanks for listening.